Yeah, I don't know exactly what we got going on there as far as damage, but that looks pretty insane. What's up, gamers? Good morning, and I got a good video here for you today. How I tripled my damage on my Frost Sorcerer build. We're gonna get into it real quick. Make sure you guys like and subscribe for more daily Diablo videos and streams. We're about to be doing kind of an all-day stream here. If you want to come by, just come say hi. And more or less what I'm going to show you is my Paragon tree. So, as most of you probably know, the Paragon is pretty confusing when you're starting off, but I've started to wrap my head around it and really understand exactly what we've got going on here. And by the way, before I get too far, I will show you yesterday my damage with cold was 62.8% or something like that, and it's now 204.6, as well as my vulnerable damage was like 20 yesterday, and it's like 120 now. And then also I'll show you one more thing where I increased my non-physical damage, but I don't believe that's actually on this list, oddly enough. I don't know why they would have yeah, anyway, let's get into it here. So firstly, like I was saying, the Paragon is slightly confusing, and I highly suggest you guys start working on your region progress so you could get these extra 4 points in each different region if you didn't know you could get them. I've almost got 4 complete, got a little bit left to do here. And you also get an additional skill point, which is pretty nice. So you get 5 additional skill points. And another thing I had learned too is this unlocks for all characters on the realm. So if you go in and you know, start another new character and you do this again, you'll get another additional 10 skill points, supposedly. So keep that in mind. That's pretty cool. But anyway, let's get into it here. All right, Paragon. So check this out. I had been kind of ignoring these yellow things, and I was specifically after the legendary pieces here on each board. That one, and then, you know, this one as well. But what I didn't actually realize, and what I was missing out on, and we'll start from the bottom down here, these yellow pieces are super, super, super good. Like, super good. Here we've got 20 non-physical damage. Just flat non-physical damage, which I would assume counts as, you know, casting spells and things of that nature. And then we've also got another 5% non-physical damage there. So right now we're at 25% additional damage. And then we, you know, move our way up here. I went with the control glyph socket that gives us increased damage to slowed or chilled enemies. But this is the weird part about this glyph. Some of these wordings on the glyphs and some of the items I've come across is a little bit interesting. So we got 32.1 increased damage to crown controlled enemies, right? And the reason it's 32.1, I believe, is because we have 27 out of 25 dexterity. And I believe for every dexterity we have that goes over, it increases this. But sadly enough, I have all the dexterity inside of the glyph range here that's available. So, but anyway, it says increases damage to slowed or chilled enemies, or instead 20% increased damage to stunned or frozen enemies. So I'm assuming that if they're frozen, they take 20%. If they're chilled or slowed, they take 10%. So either way, super, super OP. And then we've got this one up here, another non-physical damage. So we're now at, what, 40? So that was 20 plus a 5, so 25. So 45 increased damage right here. And then we've got 50. And then we've got an additional, we'll just say 10%, so 60% there. So just in this first thing, we're at an additional 60% damage, not to include, you know, the intelligence buffs and willpower and everything else. And we've also got another 5.9% damage to crowd control enemies there. Oh, okay, so I see. So it's okay, so these aren't additional. This is just added up here at the top. So that makes sense. But then we make our way into the board attachment, and the first board I ended up going with was the Frigid Fate one. Dealing cold damage to vulnerable enemies increases your lucky hit chance for 5 seconds up to 15. Now, there's technically only 2 boards that you can go with that makes sense, so that's why I went with this one. Particularly, I wouldn't have went with this one because it doesn't sound super delicious, but I went with it anyway, and I got the second Frost Mage board over there. But you can see something kind of interesting here, and it seems like it's going kind of sporadically all over the place, but I wanted to make it over here, which is 20% increased vulnerable damage, just a flat bonus. And then we get another 10% if we meet the requirements of the dexterity, which that's the overall dexterity for your character. The only time you need a specific amount of, stat is on the glyph sockets inside of this red circle. But if you see a rare node, this is like total dexterity for your character. So we did achieve that goal. Total, 20% plus an additional 10%. Plus, we've got 5 there, 5 there, and 5 there. So we've got 35, 45 increased vulnerable damage just by going right here, which is pretty insane. Seems how when we frost nova things, everything becomes vulnerable, as well as my left click and right click both make vulnerable too. So that's huge. And then we came up this direction, obviously, to get the glyph socket, and went around and got my, 40 intelligence here. And then go into this rare node weakness again, another 20% plus another 10% bonus. And then we've got the 5 and 5 here. So we're already at 100% additional vulnerable damage, which is huge because I had skipped this one and this one, and I just came up to the glyph socket and then I hooked a right and went straight to the next one, right? So, and then, I also reached around and got the legendary ability. So, yeah, this first board is huge, but the best is yet to come because this is where the big damage came from. This part over here. So we go into the next board. This is the Icefall board. I did actually rotate it. It comes with this side on the top. So make sure if you do this, you actually have the ability to rotate the board to see which angle you want to attack from. And more or less what I did was I came over here and I'm like, okay, we got damage to chilled, and then we've got damage reduction from chilled. And I was like, you know what? I really think that I'm going to be able to make it here, which is cold damage. So 20% increased cold damage, and then we've got 5, 5, and 5. So 25, 30, 35 additional just cold damage, right? You could pick these up too if you really feel like it. Chill application. I don't think we have a problem turning enemies from chilled to frozen, so I don't think that's really viable. But, so yeah, an additional, no, well, that's 30%, 35, 40, 45%. Cold damage. That's flat cold. That's for Frost Nova, for Blizzard, for Ice Shards, for Frostbolt, all of it. So that's insane. And then we get down here to killing a frozen enemy grants you 50% of your max life as a barrier. I didn't actually have this legendary until I did this rework on my board here. And yeah, talk about survivability. I can most of the part live through a lot more than I could before. So here's another thing that I'm like, damage reduction from chilled enemies. I mean, if I really need survivability, this would be a good way to go because it's, so close. But we also getting, I mean, I guess we could go 1, 2, 3, 4 if we had an additional 4. But here's another damage to chilled enemies. 15% damage to chilled with an additional 15%. Sorry, my phone's being stupid. With an additional 15% damage to chilled if I reach that willpower goal. Now, I don't have that willpower goal right now. I did have it until I reworked my glyph board here, but this is, I mean, this is just, it doesn't seem like a lot, and it doesn't seem like a huge change, but this Paragon board can also be extremely overwhelming from what I've understood so far. But this right here, if you can kind of see it, we're going straight to our goal. We're getting exactly what we came here for. And yeah, just absolutely fantastic damage buff. And I'm going to try here to Also, here's another thing. Critical strike damage to crowd controlled enemies. I changed that from just critical strike. We'll see if that does any better. But yeah, so overpower damage is at 235%, which I didn't have a problem with because this stupid staff is like 110% overpower damage. I don't overpower very often. I would much rather that be vulnerable damage, but it is what it is. So we've got 120 vulnerable damage now, and we've got 204% damage with cold. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to try and see here if we've got like a tier 22 maybe, or tier 20. Okay, well, I've got a bunch of tier 21s. Let's just go to a tier 21 dungeon. And I did have previously issues with this type of dungeon, but since we've literally tripled our damage, a big thing that I have a hard time with is and I'm sure most people can attest to this, especially if you're playing like a frost mage or something like that, is that you don't do very good damage to structures. So when you have those skeletal structures or blood boils or stuff like that in a nightmare dungeon, that's tends to, you know, you can't really do any damage to it, and bosses as well. So I think this is going to help a lot with those things. So we're going to check it out and see. I'll meet you guys there. All right. Cheers. Let's get it. Coffee. Wouldn't be able to make videos in the early wee hours without coffee, man. All right, let's go ahead and see how much damage we do. We'll try and get a nice little group going here. Okay, everything just kind of explodes. I like to just throw blizzards down to try and get some extra freezes. Now, once everything freezes, you'll see, oh my lord. What is this? Oh, okay. So yeah. I mean, I saw some 65,000s, which is pretty cool. Now the big thing is the survivability. We're gonna see if that, oh my lord, bro. We're gonna see if that increased, you know, damage reduction is really worth it, or if we need to go a little bit deeper into that. If enemies are chilled, they deal less damage type thing. This seems to be doing really well for a tier 21 nightmare dungeon right now. So like I said, I was struggling previously. Let's see how it works with these structures here. Oh yeah, seems like we're doing a lot more. Okay, I see some 10k crits. It's so weird. I seen a bigger. Okay, well, either way, these things are going a lot faster now. I don't really understand this blood boil. Ow! Don't get hit by those. Okay, and then he just dies if I don't die first. Okay. Not huge damage from the icy spikes or whatever, but once again, it's really not focused around, my build's really not focused around ice shards. Those blood boils are very, very owie. Alright, let's go this way and see. So we've got another structure here that's apparently spitting out freaking dangerous fireballs. Still find it a little difficult to destroy the structures, but honestly, it's still yet going so much faster than before. It's just a mana problem at this point. Oh lord. Okay. Sweet Jesus, bro. See if I can't freeze this weirdo. Get him out of here. Okay. Don't stand in this floaty stuff, you know? Don't be that guy. I would die on hardcore that way. That's why I can't play hardcore. I would die in the stupidest way. I mean, I might someday, right? Maybe. Oh, geez, it's gonna blow. Trying to find another good stack of enemies here. What is this? Lethal? Eh, sure, let's just see what it does. Wait, I've already been through here? What the heck? Did I even do what I was supposed to do? Okay, apparently I can go to the next area already. Noted. Little resplendent chest. Okay, here's going to be a really good representation of the damage here, as long as we don't die from this freaking pillar thing. Get rid of that blood boil. These are typically, you know, really good way to, and you can see my barrier, my life barrier does not go down at all. It's that blue shield over top of my health bar. If it does, then I can just pop mana shield. Yeah, I don't know exactly what we got going on there as far as damage, but that looks pretty insane. Looks pretty insane. I mean, we're cranking through this, dude. Absolutely cranking. Okay, so we got us a ring out of that. Good deal. My sigils are full, my consumables and everything. Okay. Almost stood in the splody stuff. Almost bad. Alright, and I believe that's dealing damage to frozen enemies, gives me a shield, so that's why that seems pretty good. Kind of lost at which direction I'm supposed to be going here. Alright, there we go. I love having the big massive groups. Almost got wrecked. I would like to make it to the boss to see what kind of damage we do to the boss. That's what I really want to see. Another lethal shrine, sure, why not? 182k I see in there with the lethal shrine, but I don't know, I might be able to slow it down and see some bigger numbers. I'm gonna try and see if I can get some screenshots of that that resplendent chest deal we just did there. There's a couple 40Ks right there. I did see 100K earlier, so I think it's all just dependent on procs and things like that. Oh, that's gonna hurt. Unless I just destroyed it. I might have got it. Corpse bows. I think that's our worst enemy, man. Corpse bows are our worst enemy. Okay. Anything else around here? I mean, that guy just spawned and disappeared, so that's pretty epic. Wow, I can't believe I actually withstood that explosion I accidentally walked into. Okay. Ouch. That hurt. Of how the ricocheting shards just randomly start killing everything. I hate to waste my Frost Nova, but I always Frost Nova those splody guys, because not a fan. See if we can get both left and right sides here and just get some big explosions. Nothing too crazy. Oh, okay. That was almost bad. Oh, okay. We got a full stack of elites over here. If I was gonna die, this would be the time. Oh, never mind. Everything's just gonna die now. When they stack up too many, man, that's on them. That's their bad, not mine. That's their bad, and that's complete, man. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Hope you guys got some value from this. Help you out a little bit with the Paragon boards. Make sure you check out these videos for the actual in-depth builds. You know, I need to make an updated one because it's changed a lot. But yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.